good day, everyone? This is Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. You're tuned into the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We have a guest today, Mr. Christopher Sullivan, who has updates on his post brain injury, which occurred 2 years ago. And he's going to give us some updates and some things he's going through. I'm going to introduce my co-host. She will introduce him, and we'll begin today's topic. So first, I want to give thanks and glory to our Father God and to His Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I know He has worked tremendously in my life and my guest's life. We both have sustained a brain injury. So I know God was with both of us as He was with Mr. Christopher Sullivan. Here's my co-host, Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams.
Hey, to our listening audience on today, and to Dr. Glenn, and to all that have joined in with us on today. We have a great topic on today, and we're looking forward to our guest that's on today. But before we go to our guest, I want to mention that today is 9/11. It's actually 9/11 today, and we want to remember 9/11. We never want to forget that day. When the Twin Towers were, when the United States was attacked by terrorism and the Twin Towers came down. And so we just want to remember the families that lost loved ones. We want to remember the rescue workers and people that were injured, the lives that were lost, and also just a moment to reflect on, what happened in the United States on that day. So I just want to remind you, send up a little bit of prayer for the survivors of 9/11. Just to remember that it is today, and just to remember those people there. Dr. Glenn?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I believe our guest can hear us. If you can hear us, just give us a nod. We'll make sure that things you want to mention, then we'll have some questions for you in between. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Mr. Christopher Sullivan.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Christopher Sullivan. I think you had him.
Yes.
There he is.
There he is.
You want to say that again? Okay. Oh, I think he's working out a little different. Jackie, waiting right now.
Yes, we're waiting for a second for our guest to come on. And we understand that he's a brain injury survivor. And we're excited for what he's going to tell us today. I know that there's a powerful testimony because I'm looking at him and he looks good. And I know that God has been good to him. So we're excited about hearing what he wants to tell us. And I understand he's a believer, Dr. Glenn.
He is.
So we're excited to hear. We know that it's not just talking about him surviving his brain injury. I know that this is called a testimony. And so he's going to tell us about how to survive, and he's going to tell us about the goodness of God to him. So we're going to ask you today, Mr. Christopher Sullivan, to tell us all about yourself. And you could also start out with telling us about your incident or your brain injury, or how you get your brain injury. And we welcome you on our show today.
All right, thank you very much, Miss Jacqueline.
Christopher.
I do just want to say that.
His mic. All right, you got Christopher.
Don't know if it's your mic, Mr. Christopher. I don't know if you hear us, but we're not able to hear you.
Pat, if you might want to disconnect your headset, just tell your computer speaker and speaker mic. All right, we're gonna give it another try. Maybe you want to disconnect your headset, just maybe that'll work better. But like Jackie said, I'm looking at Mr. Sullivan. He does look fantastic from the first time that he made it on the broadcast when I saw him. He look a lot better now. So congratulations to you, Chris. Kia is better now. Kia is better now. Uh,
He's speaking, but we can't hear him.
maybe
I don't know if you can hear us, but if you can unmute your mic, there you are.
all right, we're trying to do what we can do, but ladies and gentlemen, we just have some technical difficulties. We're going to try to continue your broadcast. Maybe we'll have to get Mr. Christopher to call in, and we might have to go radio. Maybe let's take a studio number.
So we ask that you just bear with us for a few minutes. We're going to get our guests to call in on radio, and that way we'll be able to interview him, and he'll be able to tell us about his brain injury and how he survived and how he's doing. And so we want you to just bear with us for a few moments. And again, while we're waiting, I'm just going to remind us that today is 9/11, and we need to be prayerful and thankful on today. We're thankful that, we, even from that time to this, we haven't suffered any major acts of terrorism. All right, we're going to answer that call. Ask that you bear with us just a little longer. Okay. We're on a break for 2 minutes. 2 minutes until the break. Okay. All righty. We're excited today. We're definitely doing all we can to get our guests on today. We want you to hang in there and hear what Christopher Sullivan had. Know that he's going to give us some encouraging things, and just letting us know. And we're just seeing him and seeing what a miracle worker God is, and how God is a healer. And so we're excited about seeing that. I don't know about you today, but I could use a little encouragement on today. I could use hearing some good words today. I declared this morning that today is a good day. And today is a good day. It's a good day to be grateful. It's a good day to be thankful. It's a good day to be alive. And so we are living in expectation. We're expecting something great to happen. We're expecting something more. And we're expecting to see God's goodness.
Hey, are you guys able to hear me?
No. But I was going to tell you to just call in. I'm gonna text you the number to call. What's the second studio line number?
I put it to him in the text, in the chat. You should see it in the chat.
Can you see the number you just put for you to check? Because I don't see it either. I don't see it.
Hey, to our listening audience, we're getting ready to go out on our first break. We're going to admonish you to come right back with us. We're getting our guests ready and all geared up for our show on today. We'll be right back in a few moments, and we want you to just hang on there. We're expecting, and we're in expectancy that something awesome is going to be said on today. And so I want you to come back. Don't leave us. I promise we're going to get this together, and we're going to have our guests on for today. We'll be right back in a few moments. So.
I leave my daughter and wife behind. So I'm really happy and blessed that happened. But um, I am going to have to ask you to kind of repeat the later half of what you said.
Yes.
I'm just having a trouble remembering it.
Yes, and it's okay, Mr. Christopher. I am just excited, and I also am very glad that you made it through, and to hear that you had your daughter in the car when this accident happened. And as I'm listening to you tell us about someone ran a stop sign, and they hit you, what happened to you could happen to anybody. And so I'm just grateful, and we should be very grateful, and pray while we're out on the road. But I'm glad to hear that your daughter did not sustain any injuries or serious injuries. So I have a question for you. When the car hit you, were did it hit you right in the front where you were? How did the impact happen?
So because of them running actually T-boned them, and they were probably going through about the officer said about 20, 25 miles an hour at the time, and I basically just took the entire impact on my side, which you know maybe I can't blame the guy who ran the stop sign at the end of the day because he was just a kid and he made a huge mistake, and I know that he's definitely learned from that by now.
Pretty sure.
But
Yes, I want to ask you today, what ongoing challenges do you face as a result of your brain injury?
so some challenges that I that I face now and have a lot of issues with. Um, I'm having seizures, maybe on average of once a week, um, and then as you can probably tell from this call, it affects my memory quite a bit, especially my short-term memory. It's sometimes very difficult to remember things that have just been said, um, and it it's made me it's made it's it's I'm sorry, I know what I want to say, but I can't say.
That's okay. Take your
Um,
time.
sorry. It's it's sort of made me more thankful to be even more thankful to be here, and to a worship and praise God, and then b to be here with my family. You know, and I just thank God that I'm still here to see them.
Chris, let me ask you if my memory served me correctly. Did you impact the windshield?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And because of impact to the windshield, you sustain a significant head injury besides your brain injury. Was it? Do you have to undergo any procedures to correct any damage to your head, to your skull?
Yeah. So I when my head impacted the windshield, life actually came like after the fact, after they pulled it down to the junkyard or the tow place, and like you can see where the windshield starts outwards, and I was wearing my seatbelt at the right side over here. You can still kind of see it.
Yeah, I can still see the scar, but they corrected it a lot because before when I saw it, it looked just like mine. It just like looked like a big crater, and now it doesn't appear to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. I think when I came on the show previously, I was wearing the helmet too. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And and now, yeah, it's definitely a lot better now than it was, previously, and has not sunken in anymore, which is a blessing, honestly. Um, but they went in to open my skull and then close it again. So that was two different operations, and across the span of 3 months.
So
And
yeah. So do you have a craniotomy and a cranioplasty?
no, I had uh, two craniotomies.
Two craniotomy.
Yes.
I have like a minute and 20 seconds before we go to the break. Can you argue my goals? Jackie, ask you a question or two. Then we go to the break. Then we'll be back with another 4 minutes. Jackie.
Yes, I was going to ask, and you've told us some of it, but has there been anything else that has um, progressed in the recovery process? You said you had the craniostomy,
Craniotomy.
craniotomy, and two of them. Has there been any other progress besides that?
Any kind of therapies.
Yes, I do go to both speech therapy and then my regular therapist that I just talked to. I actually saw both of them earlier today, two different offices, but uh, I do both of those. Um,
Mr.
and
Christopher, we're going to have to go out on a break. And so we're going to ask you to hold on to that thought. And when we come right back, we may have to ask you that question again. Right back in a moment.
My name is Tracy. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107 FM 1570 AM WECU.
We're back. You're listening to The Glenn Johnson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. You are still tuned into 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. We're going to go back to Mr. Christopher Sullivan, who's going to continue with the information he was giving out before we went to the break. I'm also going to add a question because he did mention he's going through speech therapy. And I remember I had to go to speech therapy also. So there's a couple of things I want to ask him about that after he gets a chance to tell us what's going on with his physical therapy and other therapies. Mr. Sullivan.
Absolutely. So I actually, by the grace of God, I think, um, just finished with physical therapy about a week ago, and um, with that, I was able to just get down to using my cane only when I absolutely needed it, and which actually isn't very often anymore. So I'm definitely blessed to be walking normally again now, and I um, with speech therapy, yeah, my memory is my weakest point from what they tell me, but I'm learning new strategies every day to help cope with that and to sort of make up for what I may be lacking. Um, and I'm definitely grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. The question I was going to ask to you about speech therapy was, excuse me, because I also underwent speech therapy, and this therapist we were doing all kinds of different tests. One of the tests included swallowing, so she gave me some crackers and all kinds of different liquids to swallow to see what was going on, and also they sent me to have acupuncture, and, and I wanted to see if you had undergone any of those things during your speech therapy sessions.
Yeah. So I never went through acupuncture. Um, I did. Um, can you repeat the other ones that you said? I can only remember that last one.
Click that, hit restart.
Dr. Glenn, he's asking you to
All right.
repeat the last thing you said. You asked about acupuncture and one more thing.
Well, I know I had the acupuncture, and it was just it wasn't like a lot of electrical current. It was like little zaps, but they put rods or needles in my throat, right near my vocal cord or my Adam's apple, but normally a voice box and different things like that would be, and it was making those zaps. And as far as eating the crackers and drinking the liquid, and they were testing my swallowing. They had all kinds of cameras attached to my neck. That's how they found out. A part of my reason why I was having this very, very raspy voice was that because it was a lot worse than what it is now. And the reason why they said my vocal cords, my vocal folds, and my windpipe was all fused together shut. So that's why I have this raspy voice now. Nowhere compared to my natural voice, what my voice sound like. But at least I can talk like yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Miss,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to ask a question. If
Okay.
you had something you needed to say, I can wait.
Oh no, I don't. Okay.
I was going to ask, have you been able to return to any form of work or school? And what accommodations do you have now that are necessary?
So I have attempted to go back to work. A few different places. I did a few work from home jobs, but as the more I would work those jobs and computer, that's when my seizures started getting worse. So my doctors told me they really don't want me working anymore, but um, still waiting on disability. So nothing there. But um, as far as school, I am back in school. I go online to the University of Phoenix. I'm currently a junior with, I'd say about a year and a half to go. So I'm definitely grateful for that, to be able to have that kind of opportunity again and not completely lose it after the accident and the brain injury.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, on my way home, I'm going to call you directly on your cell phone because I don't want you to discuss this over the air. But I want to ask you about helping you with your disability uh, so we can get that situated. And I have a number of attorneys to call, but I don't want to discuss that live over the air. So I'll call you after the broadcast about that.
And to me, those are the truly important people, that the ones um, that are just that close to you. And yeah.
So how are you handling having to not be able to drive anymore, having to have a driver all the time?
So I do feel kind of like stuck just in the house. So what I'll do is I'll just go for walks up and down our driveway, listening to music to just clear my head, or I will. There's a part of me that actually loves not being able to drive anymore, though, just due to the PTSD from the car accident. And Greenville drivers are not that good either.
I'm not going to comment on that part.
Well, Mr. Christopher, I totally agree, and I think we need to do a show one day about the drivers in Greenville.
All right, well, I guess I'll have to comment on that. But we have 1 minute to go before I got to the break. Then I think we'll be back with our final 2 minutes. During those, our final 2 minutes, 10 minute segments. So during one of those 10 minute segments, I know Mr. Sullivan didn't get a chance to discuss a lot of things on his first appearance here at the show. So I'm going to give him the opportunity to do that when we come back from the break or with the final 10 minutes. He can just have leeway to discuss what he would like to discuss during the last 20 minutes without us asking a lot of questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, please keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We will return after this brief break. 107.5 FM WECU. Back in a moment.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show.
growing your faith with Psalm 31, 14, 15.
Hello, my name is Daniel from Grayville. We appreciate you for listening to Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU Radio in Grayville.
Back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show here on Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. As I stated going out to the break, I know Mr. Sullivan probably had some other things he wanted to discuss on his first appearance here at the show, and I'm going to afford him that opportunity to do so. But first, let's go over to my notes, because I saw her writing down some notes, underlining some stuff, so I know she'll probably have a question or two. As Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams.
Yes, I was definitely looking at a couple of things. One of the things that it has here as a question, and I'm going to make sure that I frame it rightly. I know, Mr. Christopher, that in life, things happen that are beyond our control, as has happened with your particular injury. And I wanted to say that in life, we have to make the best of everything. And we have to try to have joy, and we have to move on, and we have to press forward no matter what. So my question, after framing it that way, is what do you enjoy most about your post-brain injury life? What do you enjoy most about it?
So I love the new outlook it gives me on life, and I definitely love, like I said earlier, part of me does love not being able to drive anymore. But, and I would have to say it's made me a lot closer to my family, both my wife and daughter, and then, mother, father, and from there. And it's made me truly sit down and have a talk with God, and give it all to Him, and just that, just give it all to Him.
I think you couldn't have said it no better. So, what I also like to do before you continue is that when I give you a call, I'll explain to you how you can go to YouTube or Facebook, Awesome Radio channel, so that you and your wife can do this broadcast together. Because I think she would love to see it as well, because I know she's at work. So I'm going to do that. We'll discuss that when I call you once the broadcast ends. I'm going to give it over to Jackie or to you, Christopher.
Christopher, is there anything that you would like to tell us and our listening audience that we may not have asked you as a question already?
Yeah. Well, I would just want to start off by saying that, with my new appreciation on, what life truly is, what and who it is that gives us life, it's made me appreciate everything anymore, because we know that tomorrow is not promised. So, and it's made me it's it's made me
You say reconnect.
it I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
Yes, you were just telling us some things that you appreciate about or that you wanted to just share with us that we hadn't asked you as our questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, it's made me a lot closer to my friends as well. Um, particularly my best friend, who we actually met at church back in middle school, and he's been my best friend ever since. And I think that God did that for a reason. Um, I'm definitely glad that he did, because I can talk to him about anything. But I I just feel I feel like it was almost an epiphany, the accident, like it was more than a wake up call that I needed to get back on the right path and to not stray from the path that God has laid out for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. Um, Let me just say this before I turn back over to Jackie and yourself, because then we'll have 10 more minutes. Uh, so post brain injury, I know you still continue to go through therapies and all kinds of different things, but I want to say now, both you and I, as brain injury survivors and advocates for brain injury, we are ordinary people helping other ordinary people to become extraordinary people. And I think that's what both our situations.
Mr. Christopher, I wanted to ask you another question, and it's after your break. Have you noticed that you have behavioral or emotional changes that have happened since you've had your accident?
Yes. The biggest one would probably just be like aggression and anger. And um, I've I actually spoke with my traumatic brain injury specialist, and he said it's unfortunately a very common problem, but that you can definitely learn different ways in just your regular therapy to cope with anger, different anger management skills, and there are a lot of things you can practice. So those are I do quite a few of those, and it keeps me level headed and calm.
That's right.
Um, yeah, and it it makes me it I guess it makes me like more pleasant to be around, because I'm not upset a lot of times. Um, I I lost what I was going to say.
Yeah, you were talking about your therapies for anger.
Oh yes, yes. Um, the therapy that I'm doing now with my therapist, behavioral therapist, is it's a PTSD based therapy, but it also helps you cope with anger by teaching you things like your self esteem and how to turn negative into positive thoughts, and how to how to just have a much better outlook on life, regardless of what has happened to you.
Has anybody mentioned hyperbaric oxygen therapy as part of your PTSD treatment?
No, they haven't. I don't think I've actually heard of it.
All right,
Heard of that.
we'll talk about that after the broadcast will be done. So we have 30 seconds before we go to the break. Jackie.
Yes, and I have a question, one more question about your relationship once we come back from the break, because I know that having a brain injury has had an impact on everyone in your family, including your daughter and your wife. So I'd like to give you a question in that area concerning your family. We are going to come back. We're going to go out for a break in just a moment, and we'll be right back. This is Awesome Radio 107.5 FM. Right back in a moment.
In the
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We have reached our final 10 minutes of today's broadcast. So without delay, I'm going to go back over to Mr. Christopher Sullivan, who's our guest today, giving us an update on uh, his brain injury 2 years ago. So, Mr. Cray, I'll give you free reins for this final 10 minutes to discuss what you'd like to discuss.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Dr. Glenn. I'm definitely grateful to have this opportunity to be on the show again and to spread my message with someone else out there who has gone through the same thing or can just use some encouragement, or for anyone who's going through anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Next to me, like just watching her tablet, watching me over here. But it's sort of improved it in ways with both of them, and in other ways it's stayed the same. And then there's and then in other ways, it's like not as good as it was before the injury. And a lot of that is I wasn't really sure if I was the same person before and after, but I, you know, God saved me for a reason, and that's 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 ultimately what matters. And I'm so I forgot what I was. It's
Yes, you were talking about your wife and your daughter, and I know they're glad to have you. I know they appreciate, you not being so injured they didn't have you anymore. So I know that your family feels the same way that you are expressing that you feel about them. Dr. Glenn?
yes.
Dr. Glenn looks like he had something he wanted to say.
I did before we ended today's broadcast. Um, we're going back to the behavioral situational issue. The only time I could think that I had a behavioral problem, and I never really talked about this, but I'm going to share it today. Then ask you if you see any similarity in that. Well, it was about I had been out of the nursing facility, and I met my own apartment that my attorney helped arrange to get me into. And then one day, he just started rambling on about this and that, this and that. I'm like, yeah, but Josh, I'm just Glenn Johnson. I don't know what you're trying to say or do. I know what the doctor said. I'm not discrediting the doctors, but I don't look or do anything doctor said I was going to be not able to do. So just get that in your mind. So that was the only time I really got upset with him because he's thinking I'm supposed to be like the doctor said I would, and I wasn't. It was, do you see any similarity in that?
Uh, Sometimes, absolutely, yes, I do. Um, like very sort of combative with the doctors.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, um, 99% of the time I try to listen to them, but then there are some that just tell you something, absolutely ridiculous or absolutely, against what you may believe.
Exactly, because that would make a person combative. When they think one thing, when you're telling them, no, 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 I don't really feel that way. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, and that's why I asked that because that's the only time I felt that way was with my attorney. And
Yeah.
what do we have? We have 3 minutes, Jackie.
Yes, Mr. Chris, we are so happy and glad that you came on our broadcast on today. And I am absolutely encouraged myself by hearing your testimony. I think it's going to help me not to be so complaintful because someone else has it worse than we do, and sometimes we're complaining a lot. And so, if nothing else, I think that our listening audience would look at themselves and begin to be more grateful for what we have and for what the activity of our body and different things, and just the ability to drive. So, Mr. Chris, I pray for you and we will continue to lift you up and look forward to you recovering more and more. Dr. Glenn?
Yeah, we have 2 minutes ago before today's broadcast is finalized. So I just want to say, Ms. Christopher, as Jackie mentioned before, a few minutes ago, she's going to look at things a little different, knowing that things could change in a minute. And I just want to say, although we both are survivors of a almost serious accident, and we both acquired a brain injury, there are still others that's out there with a brain injury or without a brain injury that has special needs and different things. They need around the clock care. They need caregivers, so all kinds of stuff. But we are fortunate to be a helping hand to other brain injury survivors. So that's what I want to say. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds to go before we end today's broadcast.
I absolutely agree, Dr. Glenn. And I always say you have to look at that there's always someone else that's worse off than you. And there was someone that would love to be in your shoes. They would love to trade places with you. So we have nothing in our life except to be grateful. So we're getting ready to end our broadcast on today. We're grateful for all of our listening audience on today and our guest, Mr. Christopher Sullivan. We really enjoyed hearing your testimony and the things that you had to tell us, and we're going to take them to heart. We thank you so much for being on our broadcast. Dr. Glenn?
I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I know there's some brain injury support group members that probably listen to the broadcast. I did tell them about it. So I just want to say to everybody, may God continue to bless you. May God continue to be in your lives, our lives, my life, Mr. Christopher, in this world. So with that being said, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
This is Viewpoints with Kirby Anderson.